Go ahead, Navy. You got a question, Navy?
Oh, first of all, my brother, thank you for what
Absolutely.
you do.
Thank y'all.
What you do, because as an older cat who has seen movies, and I've always said I want to see us doing the stunts. I want to see us getting the recognition, see us getting the acclaim and the respect that's due. So, as an older gentleman to you, young generation, bravo to you, sir. Bravo.
Thank you so much.
See, he and I can vibe. We can. So, out of all the projects that you've done, has there been one that's been the most significant? I mean, that is one that's been a motivator, or maybe one that has just stuck with you the most in your entire career thus far?
I would say, and this is probably, very obvious, I would say that Infinity War had the most impact on me.
Sorry. You had your time. It's my time, okay? It belongs to me, okay? It's my time. Me and my red shirt. I asked him.
But yeah, in Infinity War, even more so, and I just feel like I'm just dropping names at this point, but Guardians.
Stop what name? Drop names away.
Drop names.
Well, Guardians 3, was Guardians 3, and that was, I would say, commanded the most of me physically, but Infinity War commanded the most of me mentally and emotionally. So I would say that being or doing Infinity War, at least, or the very least, prepared me for what Guardians 3 required. And I say that because everybody's like, oh man, Gary was Drax in Guardians 3, Gary, or in Infinity War. And I'm like, you have no idea, because I was not initially supposed to be Drax in Infinity War. It took me 10 months of training and mental fortitude to get to Infinity War. We started previs, which is called pre-visualization, and we have to build all the stunts and fights around everything that was required in Infinity War. And they had two doubles. And Dave has his own double, who was Rob, and Rob did Guardians 1 and 2. And so because the grand scale of Infinity War and Endgame, they needed everybody to have two doubles. And then they realized how much that was going to cost. And 3 weeks into previs, they cut the second doubles. And I was the second double. And I was like, my life is over. I remember the email, I remember the email that I got for Infinity War, and they were like, hey, you look like one of our superheroes. We'd like you to, consider those.
Nice.
And for like 2-3 seconds, and I would for a while I was like, somebody's trolling me. Somebody's trolling me really hard. But so the stunt coordinator, who just happened to be one of the freaking doubles for Captain America, was like, hey man, this is what it is. If we need you, we'll call you. And I'm like, okay. So I went home and I was like, I'm not gonna jump off a building. I'm gonna be fine. So I did other projects in between. We went back and we did later on they required a lot of we had to do all the Wakanda scenes with the Outriders and all the Avengers and Black Panther and Black Widow and everything and I did that. But in between that, I did Pitch Perfect 3, but I was still very, very focused on being Drax. And I talked to one of the assistant coordinators that had come to my house at the time. And he was like, and I asked him, I said, hey man, I know there's another scene where Drax is going to be filming in October. I said, what are the chances of me being able to do that? And he said, I'm not gonna bullshit you, man. It's probably like a 5% chance. And what I heard was 5, not 0. And so for that, I took that and ran with it. I mean, I immersed myself into everything that I could. I listened to the Guardians 1 score. I looked at as much Drax stuff as I possibly could. I watched the cartoons. I looked at the video games, anything that I could. I got more comic books, whatever it was that I could just what manifest or put myself in them. I know the Ballad of the Nova Corps note for note.
Nice.
So come around September 2017, I get a phone call from the stud assistant. He's like, "Hey man, are you available this day?" And I said, "Yes."
Yeah.
And then they said, "Okay." And so he doesn't want to tell me because he knows how excited I go again. He doesn't want to disappoint me, but they changed the dates. And so the dates changed, and it actually ends up being 3 days instead of one.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "Okay, so are you available these days?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I asked him, I said, "I know the dates changed, but are they going to use me or are they going to use Rob for these 3 days?" And he's like, "I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out." And then I just get a text message. Excuse me. I did get a text message. "Hey man, be here at 5:30 in the morning." I got there at 3:30 before they set up base camp. One, because I was excited. Two, because I knew I got to be responsible for everybody that is a person of color.
Mm-hmm.
Because at this point, they're taking a huge chance and risk on me, because at this point I'm still fairly new. I've only been in the industry professionally now for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm already getting ready to do this grand scale movie. And so I get there, they're like, "Get into your shorts, no shirt." And I'm like, "Okay." 5 makeup artists, and they just it's like they're attacking me with makeup and prosthetics, and they're putting the paint on me. They're airbrushing me and putting the stuff on, and they're taking what they call the transfers, and that's what's the red stuff on Drax's skin, and they're just wetting it and putting it on me and everything and putting it on my chest. I look back, and I am now a superhero, kid from DC, statistically not supposed to be there, statistically supposed to be dead or in jail. I am a superhero at this point. I had to lean my head over my chair so I didn't get tears on my makeup.
Let's go, man.
Trey Mosley is in the audience. He has a question. He says, "I want to know, what was the one job that after all was said and done, you said to yourself, 'I did that shit,' and what would it be the action franchise you'd want to be a part of now?"
Ooh, that is a
Can
that
we
is
put
a
him in
great
Blade,
question.
please? Can we put him in the Blade movie? I'd like to see him
I
in the
would love
Blade
to.
movie.
I would love to, man. I would love to do it all. I would absolutely love to do it all. But I will say that with that question, it was during that day, I still didn't have the job as Drax. And that's going to answer his question, because I had to go there and do a screen test for the producers and the directors. So it wasn't like they did all that makeup and they were like, no, you got to do a screen test. We got to make sure that you can do the job. So I was, and at that point, like I said, I'd been training for 10 months, and I was offended a little bit, but they didn't know that what I'd just gone through for that long to get to that point. And so I was just like, I am going to blow their mind. So I walked up there, the most uncoordinated as I possibly could, the least heroic looking person ever. And this props master, he has the Drax knives in his hands. And I'm just standing there listening to the AD. He's going to tell me what he wants me to do to perform, to again audition for this job. Prop master takes the knives, and the Drax boots have holsters for the knives. He slides them in my boots, and he goes, "You're ready." And that was the most Manchurian Candidate move that anybody could have ever made. And he had no idea. And he's and I don't want to call him just a props guy, because he's an excellent props guy, and I love him. And I told him about that on Guardians 3. I was like, "You have no idea how pivotal you were for me being here right now, for what you said to me however many years ago in 2017 when we were doing this." And he was like, "I did?" I was like, "Yeah, you did. Like, you have no idea." He was so ecstatic. He went home and told his wife. But that moment right there was the one where I was like, I did that shit, because I did this whole thing where he was like, "Now take the knives out, start attacking." They're just giving me all these directions, and the camera is hanging from a bungee inside this very large studio in what you guys would know as the Q ship, and that's where Drax, Mantis, and Quill meet Doctor Strange, Iron Man, and Spider-Man, and they think that Thanos is in there. So that's that scene where I get beat up by the cloak of levitation. But that's that scene that I was auditioning for right there. And you know, I'm doing all this stuff, and I throw the knife up in the air, and I jump, spin, and catch it right a camera lens, and I go from camera right, corner of camera right to camera left, and the camera guy goes back like this. And Ed's one of the ADs, and he's like, "Okay, we'll see you tomorrow." And I'm like, "Yes, you will." And I
Nice.
Oh
Nice.
my god!
so that was my I did that shit moment for sure.
I like how you stated that you got there early because you wanted to be responsible for the other performers of color there. So basically, you became a guardian of the Guardians.
Yeah.
Put that on a shirt. I'm telling
Right.
you, there's history right there, man. I do this a lot. I'm sorry. I do this.
No,
it's
no,
not-
I know. I appreciate it, but yeah, it's one of those things. I was like, I am being given this amazing opportunity because I don't know another person other than Dave who's from DC who looks like me that is who has been afforded that opportunity to be able to do something like that.
That part.
I'm literally born in Southeast DC in the DC hospital, District of Columbia Hospital for Women that no longer exists. So by definition of that time, I'm statistically supposed to be deceased or in jail. Yet I have this thing where I can say I was a superhero in a Marvel movie. Like that is something that I don't take lightly.
That's a hang your hat on moment right there.
Yeah.